Cypress fire. Just before we make the evening fire, a fist-size knot of wood falls out of the cypress log. Gray, rock-hard, like a worn old coin with a fading image pressed into each side. One, a singing face, two wide eyes, a nose, an open mouth, points of wild hair surround its song. Turn it over, in a lined face with jutting brows, eyes downcast, a mouth at rest or just about to speak. Youth on one side, age on the other, despondency and joy. In the dark desert chill, the bonfire of native wood is the one red glow for miles. A different tongue speaking an acrid smoke, its lick and smart in our eyes, nostrils, throats. A vocabulary of solemnity or sorrow, like incense. Dance Pavilion, Manitou Lake, Saskatchewan. Inside the van, they consider the approach of sunset. Quiet laughter as the road, straight-pinned onto the prairie, pegs its way forward like a curtain seam spilling out of an old sewing machine. Overhead, muted calls, and the sharp angle of the geese's flight widens, splinters, tightens. Then the van turns the only bend of the trip, the bend that hugs the sudden low hills still etched with teepee rings, the bend that rims and crosses the saltwater lake in the middle of this province of pelicans and grid roads, arches and softens the evening, releases it with the bounce, bounce, bounce of a let-go ball of yarn. Under the dance hall's rounded roof, grayed and graceful couples move in circles on the sprung floor. The O's of the saxophones surround them, my blue heaven. The vocabulary of nostalgia, console radio, they think, sunset and the quarter moon, dance us back to Casa Loma, the hotel suite at war's end, that return and the stories sealed for decades. Oh, the fidelity of the pavilion and the old band leader's skill. At the edge of the polished maple dance floor, two young women in thin dresses and Doc Martens hold each other gingerly. We'll learn this here, try out our affection. Is this then how injuries are healed? Harm's way. Some of us wear a piece of the road as an amulet over our breastbones. May harm not wind its way back to us. The first 3 times were scorching. You can feel the small disc of heat on your chest. Risk insurance. A woman draws a yearly bucket of water from the well a child drowned in, makes a thin soup for her family. A girl braids silk threads to tie around her wrist, while the boy shatters birds' eggs, pierces and threads 2 fragments to hang around his neck, front and back, like a scapular. There's that noise again. Some kind of a basement noise, but you're outdoors. Your ears flinch, your eyes sharpen into the dusk. Striding down the gravel shoulder in your 2 new Reeboks, and far off a Zamboni, a cyclone, a minotaur. Alone, but that's okay. Until now. Fragile suddenly and thunderstruck. Peel your hands off your throat and scream. Why don't you scream? Jump into the field, into the hay with the rest of the sneezes. Turn back, tear down the road to your rumpled bed. No, stay still and listen for the frogs or the stars falling out of the dusk. This is harm's way, and no escaping, no Tahiti or Bora Bora for you, no flights to and from, no slipping out or nodding off, no sitting around, singing sad songs, good night, Irene, swing low, sweet chariot. This is harm's way, the traffic ahead is bad, bulldozers heaping and curling a wave of hazards, and the loudest trouble is distilled into something tiny and deep. The first kiss of breast milk ticks with odds, 1 in 9, 1 in 3. This map's no good, takes you right into the nuclear plant. Good paved road, the forests cleared, the atolls bald. Melanoma or divorce or stroke or military coup, chugging its particular noise directly toward you, no signature required. Oh, says your mother, that's just harm's way of telling you to get out of the road. That's all right, she says tenderly from aloft. She brushes your hair and strengthens the terror, stretches and thins it. Summoned or shunned doesn't matter, no pleading, a special case, no spreading laurels to rest beneath, privileges peel off and crackle, a stained old pair of evening gloves. The rosary mumbles its beads. You search overhead, clouds dull the moon's faint glow. Why is this road so empty when you know you're not alone? Why is it always night on this particular stretch? Rip a poncho out of your pack, spread it on the dark wet weeds, lean against the whitewashed oval of a roadside grotto and recite the alphabet of what's given and received. Here's a thread of dawn. Tie your shoelaces. Scramble on. In the bottom of the boat. This morning, for the first time, I dreamed you alive again, or barely alive. There was talk of surgery. I stood at the railing of your hospital bed. You struggled, gasping and raging under the toxic fluorescent glare. First one, then two, your eyes opened, their blue had deepened, and you raised your quivering fist at me. Your arm was too weak, just stirring out of another stroke to land a blow. I whispered, "Why are you angry at me?" In answer, you gathered your lips together and spit a spray of blackened blood into my face. I drew back, shamed and aghast among the hospital staff. Below us you thrashed like a huge fish in the bottom of the boat, hooked on a death line. Something stronger than me had pulled you in. Lunar Eclipse. Tonight the earth, like a faithless lover, wins back the moon with the extravagance of a last-minute gift, throws her a pair of black silk stockings. This pleases her. She smiles, a one-sided smile at the expensive ink pooling at her feet. She swirls a toe in the sheer fabric, stirs and unstirs it into loops on the sky's floor, considering. Then, slowly, utterly slowly, she takes an hour to slip into them. Her gift is the dawning of the gift. We have stayed up for this, not expecting reconciliation. I'm phoning friends all over the city, putting aside grudges, making amends, saying, "Stand in your window to receive this." 2 weak arms. 2 weak arms, how to be useful still, now that I can no longer row a boat any distance at all, carry a child upstairs at bedtime, or even tap lightly at the keys for very many hours. In this weakness, Rapunzel's story revisits me, its earlier version, how later tellings suppressed her twin sons, who fled the tower with her into the desert, awaiting their blinded father's return. Am I being asked now to survive as the tale has, simplified, the 2 voices muted, and carrying less love, less truth? Here in this boat where I pause mid-lake with you, caught in the lake's green net with its mirroring rim, I pull up the heavy oars, my back to my destination. My destination is a tiny reflection in your eyes. Straining to what point on its shore, this is our discussion, while the water bugs stitch quick, weightless arcs on the surface. Moving will help, but so will staying still. Listen, hold the 2 boys in your arms as I begin the story again.